Hello everybody and welcome back to INSANEBRIT Gaming. I'm the INSANEBRIT and this is this week's News Friday, where I talk about all week's gaming news, gaming topics and some anime news if I find it. We've got quite a lot of news actually. I haven't been on for the past 1 or 2 weeks regarding news topics and stuff like that. So we're going to start off with some sad news. Ray Wilkins passed away aged 61, former Chelsea player, assistant manager and former manager of QPR and Fulham. Aged 61, died of a heart attack. In other news relating to some more sad news, Isao, if I'm getting the pronunciation right, Takahata, basically born 1935, died in 2018. He was the, you may not know him, and I didn't even know him to be honest with you, it was the co-founder of a little famous anime studio known as Studio Ghibli, if I'm again getting the pronunciation of that right. So yeah, he was the co-founder, I didn't even know that, which is a shame. So kicking off with the actual gaming news now, Pubg is suing a company, a smaller company, which basically is on mobile, I believe, and for certain things. There's a 150-page document regarding what they're suing for specifically, but there's two elements to this that I can point out to you, and that's one is on their YouTube channel, this particular mobile game, they're actually using Pubg's name and stuff like that, which has got grounds for suing, etc., etc. Which makes sense, along with 1 or 2 other things like that, and that's completely understandable. However, there is a concerning thing, which I hope the judge throws out completely, and that is based on the fact that in some games, even what I've played, now I haven't played PUBG, I don't play Fortnite, and I haven't played this mobile game, okay? But I've played a game where basically you're in this spectrum of a map, it's big. But when it goes down to 4v4, the map gets smaller. I played a game like that years ago, and apparently this mobile game puts this in their game as well, just like PUBG apparently does this. Now, if I've seen that years and years and years ago, why the hell were PUBG suing for that? I don't agree with that one way or the other. I think it's ridiculous. That's like saying, oh, Call of Duty was the first to have team deathmatch. So we're suing everyone with team deathmatch. It's rubbish, it's garbage, or capture the flag. It doesn't work that way. It should be grounds for a public space of having a game mode. If I want to make a game today and do a platformer, are Mario going to sue me? You know what I mean? Or whatever. Or Knack. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I hope to God they throw that case out specifically. Now I want to speak about the SPYRO. Okay, apparently is coming out. It gets a release date. It's called Spyro the Dragon Remaster, leaks for the PS4 and Xbox One. Release date and box art emerge. Spyro's rumored remaster trilogy has been leaked. The original 3 games will be coming to PS4, Xbox One on September 21st, 2018, according to an Amazon listing. And then there's got an update here. Spyro Remaster has been confirmed, and we've also gotten a look at some comparison images, which it looks very bright and beautiful and HD'd up. It looks really good. Apparently Amazon India states the remaster officially titled Spyro Reignited Trilogy will contain all 3 original Spyro games fully remastered in HD. That means you'll get the first Spyro the Dragon, as well as Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, or known as Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer, which is the European name for it apparently. I don't know why they do that, and Australia. And Spyro Year of the Dragon, which sounds pretty cool. In total, the bundle includes over 100 plus levels, remastered with breathtaking graphics, updates and improved gameplay controls, according to the listing, which also displays the looks of the final box art, blah blah blah. It's got a bunch of images there as well. Amazon Mexico has similar entry, Spyro Ignited Trilogy, while screenshots that look very similar to above box art has been spotted. On the official Spyro website, a trilogy has been rumoured in the past, and these latest leaks make the possibility of a Spyro remaster seem more plausible. However, the report stated that the bundle would be a timed exclusive to the PS4, similar to last year's Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, and that it would be developed by Vicarious Visions. The new box art appears to cite Skylander developer Toys for Bob as the studio behind the Reignited Trilogy. This September marks the 20th anniversary for Spyro Dragon original release on the PS1 for that game, as well as a subsequent 2 that will be included in the remaster were developed by Insomniac Games Studio, who will go on to create Ratchet and Clank Resistance and Sunset Overdrive. Okay, basically, okay, so Spyro is coming out. Now, I never played Spyro, weren't a fan of it. It was like a rival to Crash Bandicoot, I think, back in the day. It just didn't really, hit it off with me, personally. I was a Crash fan, so I never really got to play it, and to be honest with you, I don't really care about it too much. I know there's a huge fan of it. There's a lot of fans out there who are massive fans of it, you know, from the PS1 days and will remember it. I was a huge fan of Crash Bandicoot, and I haven't even bought the HD version of the last three. I personally feel that this is good for the fans, but at the same time, I kind of feel with this console generation, sorry, I'm just switching back to the camera, but it's a little bit too late for me. In the first year of the PlayStation, if we came out with the Crash Bandicoot and the Spyro trilogy, it would have been like, yeah, this is great, this is brilliant, they're bringing back some classics, we finally wanted these on the PS3, they're kicking it off with the PS4, there ain't a lot of games out in the first year, so give people some classics to play and go, wow, this is fantastic, we can get to some nostalgia, and you know, you've brought back some brilliant classics right now in the Crash Bandicoot and Spyro trilogies in itself. And then, in theory, this year, you could have moved on to Crash Bandicoot, I don't know, 4 or whatever, you know, or 5 or whatever game they might come out with a new story and completely rebuilt and made for the PS4, making the franchise come back and you know, grind it into the actual console itself. Now it feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a little bit late for me in the day where there's really a lack of PS4 games, or they're coming out slowly but surely, but at the same time it's like, well, it's just another HD remastered version of a game. So I kind of feel that way about it, but if you're a Spyro fan or whatever, or a fan of platforming, you're going to love these games regardless. So yeah, so that's coming out in September, but it's probably not something I personally am going to pick up myself. Next up we have Donkey Kong. The world record holder, apparently, has been ousted for cheating. Twin Galaxies will no longer recognise him as the first person to get 1 million points. With this ruling, Twin Galaxies can no longer recognise Billy Mitchell as the 1 million point Donkey Kong record holder. According to our findings, Steve Webb, or Weeb, whatever, would be the official 1 million point record holder. Apparently he was using an emulator and not the official hardware of where arcade hardware when the game came out or whatever, you know what I mean? That kind of, you got to use a certain hardware for it to count, and apparently he wasn't doing that. And they have told or wrote to the World Record, Book of World Records, and he will be taken off there or whatever, no longer officially recognised as the record holder. Next up we have God of War 5. Yes, 5. I'm actually talking about 5 at this point. God of War 4 is out, and it seems to be a journey about a son and a father, about the loss of his mother. And I'm going to get now. I'm not going to. How do I put this? Basically, there's an interview here with one of the people who made the game, and the interviewer asks this question. But they will be told eventually, I hope they, have you thought about the roadmap for the rest of this chapter in Kratos' life? So basically, it seems to be they're doing this a lot now with the life of certain individual characters, like Gears of War, where his son takes over, I believe, and I don't know what happens to Phoenix. I haven't played that game myself thus far, and I don't know what happens to the guy in God of War, Kratos or whatever, so it just, the guy answers it. He says, yeah, for sure, not me personally, but I will say that Cory Barlog, who's our creative director, has, when he came back from Santa Monica Studio a number of years ago, he didn't come with an idea that was, this will be the first and only Kratos and Atreus adventure. And while we are not here today discussing what's next for them, or where we go, what that even looks like, I think any smart person or anyone with common sense would say, I doubt Santa Monica Studio would put this much time and investment introducing a new character and a universe without thinking of a greater roadmap. So we absolutely have ideas and thoughts on that. So basically what this means is that originally I assumed, I mean, I thought that a lot of people said that Kratos was going to die off in this God of War or whatever. I assume he doesn't, and he's raising his son, and it's a father-son story. However, I will say that the gameplay element has changed, apparently, I've been told, and it feels like more like The Last of Us. Now, Last of Us is a great game, and me and my friend were discussing this, and it's always a challenge, always risky when you change the gameplay elements. If you change Crash Bandicoot or Mario's from a platformer to an open world, which Mario did, you'll have your fanboys hating it, or you'll have people love it to bring it to a broader audience. And we were talking about why it's no longer such a hack and slash like it was and whatever else. Maybe it's to bring it to a broader audience, but I don't think that was necessarily a bad thing. Hack and slash, it's definitely something that a lot of people want to play. And the truth is, when talking about The Last of Us, it was the absolute pinnacle. It is the Titanic, it is the Avatar of gaming. When you think of a great game, you think of The Last of Us, and everyone has to play it, I'm sure, because the voice acting, the drama, the great storytelling, all is what is the absolute pinnacle of gaming, and that's where the level that we're out there. If you look at storytelling, you look at The Last of Us as the highest pinnacle of gaming. If you're talking open world, you look to GTA 5. You looked at those two games and you try to emulate what that is, and that's essentially what God of War has done, trying to tell a story through the narrative of like The Last of Us, bringing it up to that spectrum and making people want to play it. And that's where we are now with gaming. It's that level of voice acting has to be superb, the storytelling amazing, to really push, this is where they want to be, that kind of, Last of Us and GTA set the standard, the rest has to follow, and anything else, 9 out of 10 falls below par unless you're going another route, like a shooter or whatever. It's just like Call of Duty, set the tone, everyone else had to follow, etc., and this kind of trend will continue. So I can only assume that God of Kratos and his son will go on more adventures and whatever in this new universe, and long term. And like I said, Gears of War have already done it, with his son being included now, who I don't know anything about the story or whatever about that game, but I will be playing it at some point. I think I've got 1 or 2 more stories to go, and I relate to the if I can find it. Yes, give me 1 second, guys. I found the story. I'm just going to click on it and have a read through. Okay, guys, the last story is the PS5. It's supposedly landing in 2020, and we've got some interesting, I think it's Kotaku reported on this. I reported a few weeks ago, I was talking about the PS5 when it may or may come out, may or may not come out, sorry. I think I said 2019, I was hoping, but essentially, apparently they're saying 2020. So, rumours circulating online that Sony's next major console, the PS5, would arrive this year, may have been a little premature. According to a new report by Kotaku, Sony's PS5 is still some way off. It's likely to hit store shelves at least until 2020. For its report, Jason Shearer of Kotaku spoke with a host of developers, most of whom said that they were not aware of any console arriving during 2018. Some went as far as to laugh at the idea, although no names were shared. Of the publication states that some of the developers it spoke with from a variety of disciplines, including design, art, and engineering, work for Sony's first-party studio, and thus would be privy for the details of any new console arriving in 2018, which makes perfect sense, let's be honest. In fact, the numerous developers Shearer spoke with, only actually 2 acknowledged the console's existence, and both stated that they didn't even expect the PS4 successor to launch in 2019, let alone 2018. Of course, hardware timelines are always open to change, with one source saying on a multi-year project, a lot can happen, shift schedules both forward and backwards. Additionally, in a recent article claiming that the PS5 dev kits were already in circulations amongst makers, it also appears a little premature, claims Kotaku as well, with any potential dev kit likely to be nothing more than a regular PC. Another of the sources states that the PS5 to release this fall, it would have to already be at the manufacturing stage, which, when you consider how little developers know about the console's existence, appears incredibly unlikely, which makes perfect sense. I mean, if they did launch 2018, what games are they going to have? There's nothing. They're barely getting shit out for this console generation, you know what I mean? So, it's very, very premature at this point. I didn't expect Nank in 2018, and if I did, I said it would be announced, and then 2019, at Christmas it would come out, just to give you a thing. But by the sounding of this, it looks very unlikely at this particular point in time. Sony launched the PS4 back in 2014, with PS3 debuting 7 years prior, so it's entirely reasonable that PlayStation's next iteration wouldn't arrive until at least 2020. A similar timeline applies to Microsoft with the Xbox One, launching 8 years after its predecessor, the Xbox 360. So I think the PlayStation 5 will come out in 2020 or whatever, maybe announced in 2019. And then 2020 it will launch, which makes perfect sense. Having said that, regardless, sorry, let me switch back to the camera. When it does hit and it does come out, whatever games they do have, if it is just a PC sitting there, because they do the PC specs, they build it in a tower and they say to the developers, here's the specs of what we're going to be working with, go do your best. When it does come out in 2019 or whatever, it will be 2 years old. The technology will be at least 2 years old. So you're not getting the up-to-date graphics how you want it or whatever, or the up-to-date specs. You know how time flies and graphics cards come out and up-to-date this and up-to-date that. It's still going to be old hardware, you know what I mean, what they're actually working with compared to the PC. So you always be able to upgrade your PC and stuff like that, and that's just the old argument of this is better graphics and runs faster. For console you can't upgrade, blah blah blah, and that whole route entails in itself. That's what you get with consoles. It is what it is. Which don't really concern me. My only concern is overall is please have games for this. It feels like I'm moaning about launch titles and X, Y, and Z, and there's just not enough going on for my PS4. It's all mostly HD remakes, and I'm playing the same series over and over again. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Call of Duty, Battlefield. There's a load of Batman HD games, other HD games that I've been playing. So you see what I mean? They need more games to come out and launch, and I would like to think that they've got at least give me 8 to 10 brilliant games in the first year. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Don't wait 2-3 years and I've played 4, 5, 6 games. Come on, man, that's a bit shit. You know, I'm hoping that they better prepare the developers for it, and the PS4 launch and everything. I think that the system's good. It just had no games. It took a very, very long time for stuff to come out, and they're still trying to seep stuff out, and some of them are too late, and it feels disappointing in that respect. So I just hope that developers are on their game, and Sony are contacting more and more of them and saying, look, we got this, start working on something whenever it does occur. So we've got games when it comes out, at least in the first 5 months at least. We want a slew of great games coming out, you know, interesting ones. Some will be series based, but I'm hoping that we have some new IPs as well. We're going to have, I mean, Anthem I think is coming out this year. I don't know, we've got Last of Us 2, which I'm looking forward to, but God knows what the PS5 is going to bring to the actual game and whatever, and if it will truly be 4K and blah blah blah, and what other elements it will have in it. Having said that, I'm happy to get a run out for my PS4 for the next 3-4 years, whatever, and it's still a good system, and I'll be happy to play it up until then anyway. Anyway, guys, that is about it for this week's News Friday. I hope you enjoyed this video. I did start Monster Hunter. I started very, very slow, but trust me, it gets good, including today's video, where I take on a giant rhino thing or whatever it is. But I'm enjoying the playthrough. It took me, it's a bit of a learning curve for me, so my apologies for getting into it. You can watch part 1. I'll leave in the annotations up top. And there will be a food review out, I think this tomorrow, probably a pizza or something. I'll do that, and you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Links will be in the description below, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.